I'll start with scenario 1, which is to demonstrate the visualization of a data center. I start with my visualization tab. And with my visualization tab, I have an at-a-glance view of my environment. With one click, I can easily have a view of my rack space capacity. By setting user configurable thresholds, I can show which racks are low in capacity in red and which racks have a lot of capacity in green. Similarly, I can look at my environment from a temperature point of view and look and see, do I have any racks that are red, which indicates a high temperature, therefore they're low on cooling capacity, and items in green have more cooling capacity. I can look at measured amps. And looking at measured amps, cabinets in red are low in power capacity available. Cabinets in green have a lot. So that gives you some high-level overview. I can also filter these by customer, function, group, and type. And each one of these reports gives you cabinet by cabinet measurement information, as well as the ability to export these details. I have a search pane on the side where I could search for any device, Clarity, and I click on that device, and I can easily see it's in cabinet 3F. And I look here, I see it's in cabinet 3F at the bottom. My cabinet elevation view, I have the ability to show front and back, text or image. I also have a cabinet inspector, which gives me detailed insights to all the capacities and information about this cabinet. So this cabinet has a budgeted power of 4 kilowatts, has 23 items in the cabinet, has 7 available RU spaces, gives me information about available ports, copper, power, and gives me details about my individual rack PDUs, including the rated amps, budgeted amps, and measured amps. And now if I want to drill down into Clarity, I can get my asset information about Clarity. And I can see this is a Hewlett-Packard ProLiant DL360. It weighs 37 pounds. I see the dimensions. I have my serial and asset tag information. I want to point out that a lot of this information comes from our models library. So the customer does not have to type it or enter it. It comes part of our solution. They merely select Hewlett-Packard ProLiant DL380, and a lot of this information comes in, as well as high-fidelity front and back images. I have a name. This is a type of server. It's functioning as a web hosting device. The customer is marketing. I have my placement information with hot links to be able to go back and forth. In addition, I have configuration information such as operating system. So this is a Windows Server 2010. I have the type of CPU, the quantity of CPU, the amount of RAM, the number of users, the number of processors, the number of servers, and I could even say what VM cluster it's in. I have my asset and maintenance information, such as what project this device is part of, what was the purchase order number, what was the purchase price, when was it purchased, when was it installed, what's its SLA profile, such as high availability, the contract start date, the contract end date, as well as the ability to have unlimited number of custom fields. And if I look here, as a user, I create different custom fields, and one very specific custom field that I've created here is a KVM link, such that if I want to launch directly to that server, I can, leveraging a KVM port. And now I can access directly to the server window. I also have the ability to launch, to include links for things such as maintenance documents or support, and click to get the support. So this is all very useful information for managing this server. Now I go to data ports. This particular server has 7 data ports. The ports come from our models library, and you add what it's connected to and build out the circuit. And from a data port perspective, we have the port name, the type of port, what it's connected to, the color code, the VLAN grouping, the MAC address, the IP address, the connector type, the media, the protocol, and the data rate. And from here, I can easily click to trace out this network path. And by doing that, I look at my server, Clarity. I'm talking about port net 1A. And I click here, and this is a patch cord. It's red with a cord ID, and I can enter the length. And then I have my patch panel going across my structured cable to another patch cord, up to a switch, and then I could select one or more uplinks to trace out the full network path all the way up to the internet. The Raritan DSIM solution is single page loaded, so I just click back and forth as a good workspace moving between windows and windows. And now I'm looking at my power ports. This particular device has 2 power supplies. They're running an N+1 redundancy, and together they have an effective power load of 162 watts. So if I looked at power supply 1, I could see it's connected to rack PDU-3F. I could see that its color code is red, what connector it is, what phase, voltage, power factor, and now I get into some reading information here, such as nameplate watts, budgeted watts, nameplate amps, budgeted amps, and measured amps. I also have the ability to trace out my power path. So I start with my server, and I'm on power supply 1 that has a load of 162 watts. It's connected to rack PDU-3F, and I can look here at the load, and I can look at the breaker load and limit. One thing our solution does is it proactively verifies the load from the server at every breaker point in the power path before it'll allow you to make that connection. It's like an electrical engineer doing the electrical calculations to ensure that you can safely add that load to the power path without breaking a circuit. The path continues all the way up to the 2-pole breaker, to the power panel, to the UPS. Now I go back to my asset and just show you how we have easy linking back to the floor plan, and that completes my demonstration of scenario 1.